at the core, what the company is we manufacture, design all sorts of home furnishings, everything from bedding to furniture, and then we distribute that through mattress and furniture stores, as well as e-commerce throughout the country and throughout the world. We employ about 1,600 people throughout all the organization and the organizations and the distribution centers. And yeah, that's kind of us. We've got a few little stats on there about the different companies we sell to. We have product in about 70% of mattress and furniture stores in the country. This references a little bit kind of how the company is built up. We talked about in the intro about the vertical integration and all the different disciplines and capabilities we have in-house. So from the beginning, we really focused on scaling and really not having a completion in mind of a different capability or strength that we're building out. So inside the company, you'll find everything from graphic design to legal to writing, and kind of almost every career set you could think of inside the building. It's allowed us to really not just get to the next level, but to keep going. And that's kind of our mantra is, we're not ever done. We're just going to keep improving and trying to get better.
Yeah, and then is mine working?
You got to flip it on.
Oh, I do?
Maybe that's what we need to do.
Okay, there we go. So if you look over here, you can kind of see, this is kind of an overview of all the brands and companies that we own and work with. Like Sam mentioned, because we have kind of that vertical integration where we have our creative teams in-house and our video and all these different departments in-house, we're able to create different brands for different channels. So if you go to like Walmart, you're going to see a brand on a pillow or a mattress or whatever that's totally different from a brand that you would see in Home Depot, but it's still our company. We're still making those products. So I don't know. Sometimes we like to say that you're choosing between us and us. You just don't know it. So we do that. We also have, we have retail now with like Down East and Hope Avenue. We offer different services, logistics and technology too. So the company's really grown to kind of incorporate not just products, but just other services and things too, which has been a fun evolution to watch happen.
So this is one of our key differentiators for the company. So early on, we learned that we needed to control the distribution path of our product. When today we distribute a lot of product that's big, mattresses, big pieces of furniture, and so forth. And so early on, we started investing in real estate. And today, you can see on the map the different distribution points. So maybe some of you heard the news about a year ago when we stopped doing distribution out of Logan, which we'd done for about 13 years. And that's largely because the footprint of the building that we use to distribute all of our product really now is a minimum of about 1 million square feet. So each of these facilities is about 1 million square feet. We're able to ship a lot of volume out of these, and then they're strategically located so that we can reach about 98% of the U.S. population in a 2-day ground shipping scenario. So that's been a key point for us. We show some stats on here as far as how many stores carry our product throughout the country, and then definitely the reach as well. So that's been a big part of the company, and all the operations in those facilities are ran by our employees in these different states.
So we're also a B corporation. So I don't know if you guys know what that means, but it stands for Benefit Corporation, which means that not only are we focusing on profits, because that's important, but we're also focusing on the people that work for us and kind of having an impact on the people around us, and then also on the planet, sorry. So we focus on just trying to, we have a huge solar array on top of our building, and we really try to stay in line with best practices when it comes to the environment. And so it's actually kind of an intense qualifying process that you go through. It takes several months and a lot of different checks and balances to make sure that you qualify for this. But we feel like this kind of was a culmination of all the things that what were important to us in business. Like, we care about making money, obviously, but I feel like Sam and I personally, we just care about taking care of the people around us and making sure that we have a bigger impact, and we're really using our business as a force for good, which is the whole premise behind B Corporation. So I don't know, we've kind of also worked with Down East. They're now a B Corporation, and we kind of mentor and teach other companies how to qualify for this because we think it's really important. This is, some of you guys have seen this when you're driving into the valley, off to the right-hand side at Nibley, but this is our corporate headquarters here in Logan. We love it here. We've been here like a long time, 16, 17 years. So we don't plan to leave anytime soon. We love our partnership with Utah State. We hire a lot of Utah State graduates. So yeah, we just love it here. But we want to take it back now and talk to you guys a little bit about our corporate evolution and kind of how we got from our beginnings, which were pretty humble, to here. So I'll let Sam.
Yeah, so this is, so yeah, we've got some evidence of.
Sam had hair.
Yeah,
it's under the hat, but he had it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Kacie was a graduate from USU. I was finishing a degree. We were just getting married. That building there, that was our first apartment.
We were the upper left-hand corner.
Just
we didn't have the
that
whole
left
thing.
window
Yeah.
on the top. Yeah.
Pink carpet. It was good.
So yeah, how our story started is we were setting up our apartment, and we'd purchased kind of the irony that goes back around is we'd purchased a freight damaged king size mattress from down east at a tent sale, and they told us the sheets would be really expensive and hard to find, and so we went shopping for sheets and thought that what we found was really overpriced and pretty under-delivered and under-presented. And
our standards weren't that high because at the time Sam was sleeping on the mattress with a set of sheets he'd purchased at a garage sale in Mexico. So we were, that's where we were coming from.
So we kind of saw the gap, and yeah. So I think Kacie convinced us to buy a set of sheets that cost $60 or $80 and seemed really overpriced, and little did we know, but that's what kind of catapulted us into this venture of, hey, can we find a way to supply better value proposition for customers. Also at the time, Kacie was a server at a unnamed buffet here in town, and
it was less good than Check-A-Rama. It was like lower than that. So that I tell you.
So she didn't love her job. I didn't love scraping her apron before she'd go into work, and her hair smelled like a fryer all the time. But anyway, so that was kind of one of the other emphases. We were trying to do something that we liked, and this was kind of exciting. And we thought, hey, maybe we can find a better way to to provide sheets. So the business started, making high thread count Egyptian cotton sheets, importing them from Egypt, and selling them. And that was in 2003.
Yeah, I think just a little bit more on the evolution. So, we started with sheets and then we moved on to different products and we started kind of seeing an outlet for selling them. We started selling to mattress and furniture stores. That was kind of our first foray into selling the product that we were making. And so from there, we really grew into, mattresses and furniture and now kind of the whole home category in general. So it's been an interesting evolution. We've learned a lot along the way, and we wanted to share with you guys just a few of kind of the main points of things that we've learned as we've come along this path. So the first one, I know it's like super obvious, but working hard. I know that's probably a little too obvious, but for us that was really important. Like we lived, breathed, like everything was just kind of about this little business we had going on in our apartment. One of the stories, I guess, to illustrate that is we had to unload containers of product all the time, and it was just the two of us, so we were doing that. Well, we only got a couple containers a year, but one of them happened to arrive on the day that I was supposed to go to the hospital and have our first baby. So I was like ridiculously pregnant, and we went over to we kind of had it wasn't really a warehouse, it was just like a little.
Yeah, I think our first, we called it a warehouse, but it was smaller than this room.
The size of this room, maybe.
And we had a forklift actually, and if you've driven a forklift before,
it's not a lot of space.
This isn't very big, and they knock walls down when you hit them. So we learned that.
But so I don't know, going to the hospital that night to check in to have a baby, and we're unloading. He was too, but I'm unloading boxes of sheets and organizing them in the warehouse. So that was an example of just kind of that. Always working hard mentality. We could have just said, no, we're going to pay the $500 or whatever to keep the container there overnight and we'll do it later. But it was kind of always our mentality of like, we're going to get up early, work hard, do everything we can to succeed in the business that we were doing.
I think that's one of the things. I mean, you hear this a lot, work hard. And I was actually had a conversation with somebody last week on a podcast. And they said, well, yeah, but, I mean, a lot of people work hard. You've got, people that do intensive manual labor. Can you not say they work hard? And so it's a common tenet that I think that is important in success. But one of the things we recognized was that there's along the way, and still there's external factors that we don't control. Even in our success, profile, there's a lot of things that just happened. There's some lucky things. There's some things that relate to timing. But the hard work thing, that was us. We controlled that all the way, and I think that's a good lesson that we've learned. And we like to surround ourselves with people that work hard, because that's a full control thing that we can really master. So
yeah, I think it wasn't just like the physical work of it too, but it's like hard mental work to kind of stay in a space where you are, mentally able to do the work and be like, I can be successful, and kind of stay in that positive frame of mind. Because I think sometimes when, like Sam said, like a lot of things go wrong, like every day, even still every day things go wrong. And so just being able to flip that narrative in your head to, doing that work of saying like, I can do it, So I think that's part of that piece too of working hard. We're just not just talking about physical work or sitting at the computer for hours, but just the whole thing.
The next one we want to talk about is not giving up. So in entrepreneurship, this is kind of paramount to succeeding. And one of the things we recognize as we look back is that we had little goals to start with. Our first goal was we were trying to make $1,500 a month so that we could pay our insurance and our rent, and so the case didn't have to go to
buffet. That's what I made at the buffet.
Yeah,
so just trying to hit that level.
So that was that when we both got to stay home and work together in our little apartment with pink carpet and smelled like cats. We liked that. That was like goal number one. And then there was a goal at one point where we were like, man, if we could sell 100 sets of sheets a day, that's the end. Like, we've got it. Everything's done. And we'd hit that goal. We'd have goal. There were points where just selling a set of sheets and making $40, that was exciting. So I think one of the things we look at is never giving up on something that you don't like, or that's a grind, or that you don't have balance or excitement in. That's pretty hard, but that's kind of what I take from it, is that we liked it. We found things that were exciting. We found small, goal points and gates that were exciting to get through. Then we'd move on to the next thing, and I think that's a lot of what helped us stay engaged and excited, was just liking what we were doing.
Yeah, some of the things we thought about and got excited about seem really silly now, but in the moment, like, in order to keep yourself excited about something, like, you are excited about that sale where you made $20, like, you're excited about all those little things, and so being able to capture that excitement about even the smallest victory or the smallest thing that's going right helped us kind of stay in that space of never giving up. I think the whole way along, Sam and I we didn't have anyone funding this venture. It was him and I figuring out how to make it work. And so we were on the verge of bankruptcy at all times. And so just being able to, we had to keep going, right? Or else we were going to fail really big. And so sometimes that helps too, is just knowing like there's no other option. Like, you keep going and you keep working hard and you don't give up, or you fail. And so that was just, when those are the two options, it's easier to have, I think, to stay in that space of like, I'm not going to give up because I just won't do it. So
that's a good time to go bankrupt. We didn't.
It wasn't.
But we often had that conversation. We said,
just had the apartment.
No dependents. It was just us, and it wasn't really that big of a deal if we went bankrupt. But anyway, the third one is being creative. So we saw this in a lot of different aspects as we grew the business. Early on, if you guys are maybe some people are familiar with the State Liquor Store down on 4th North. We just were like, well,
they have a lot of boxes.
Yeah, they have a lot of boxes, and they're pretty. And so
and they gave them to us for free.
Yeah, for years. So that's what I remember, just pulling our car up there every Wednesday night. We loaded up with boxes, and so.
But that probably saved us $500 a month. So it was like just that creative being like, they started to recognize us. We'd walk in and they'd be like, the Maloufs are back. Just open your trunk, and they just put a bunch of boxes in. And
perfect size.
Our customers loved it when they got their, fancy box.
Eventually, the post office
shut us down.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow you to ship things that looked like alcohol, but that wasn't. So, I guess you couldn't ship alcohol at all. But anyway, so creative. So this is a little risky. The next part here. I think we've maybe talked about this before.
We felt a lot of shame too for a lot of years. So
yeah, so one of the creative components for us and for any starting business is financing. And so, like Kacie said, we didn't have somebody on the back end, paying, supplying the cash that we needed. And so we just figured a way out to get the money. And that was through credit cards. And so we
brought our binder today. You guys are only the third group we've shown it to.
So this is what I spent about 30% of my time on for probably 6 or 7 years, was just managing this
0% interest, guys.
Yeah. It was, now, just as a note, point here, we're not advocating for this.
Don't do it.
We were one of the lucky ones that made it through, but this ended up being about $2 million in personal credit cards that we carried on with 0% balance transfer rates, and it's cheaper than the money we borrow today, of course. And it was a little edgy because if you messed up, you were out. But anyway, so that was something that we did that was creative, and it's how we figured out how to finance the company in the early years. Again, not recommending it because it's a slippery slope. But
well, we had never heard about venture companies or people that would loan you. I mean, we just didn't know about it, and so this was kind of our way to make it work, and it worked for us for a while until we could figure out a better way. But we did what we had to do, and we were creative in that aspect for sure. Not saying you guys should do it. Don't do it. But
hopefully that's clear. All right, so we're going to move from there on to what we believe is the real key to the success is the people. So that's this is something that we talk about a lot and try to live this principle that when Kacie and I mean it was literally the two of us and sometimes a part-time high school assistant for like 6 or 7 years, and I think there was a point we didn't really realize at the time, but we had pretty much maxed out our ideas potential with the two of us. Just two of us, we had our ideas, and we weren't synergizing, beyond just the two of us. And so when we hired our first employee, that was the turning point. We hired a lot more after that, and we believe that the people that are members of the team now, they bring the ideas. It's the synergy of all of us working together that makes it successful. And so that's been the key and will continue to be the key to our success is the people that are there bringing the ideas and working together as a team.
Yeah, I think for a while, I don't know, like Sam and I realized pretty early on once we started hiring people, and even before, like we're not the best at everything. We don't know everything. We're not going to be able to build a website or program. There's so many things that we don't have the skill set to do. So hiring people enabled us to be able to focus on the things that we were good at and then, give the things that we weren't so good at to people who were really good at it. And that helped us really elevate and grow a lot quicker. I think we probably would still be living in our fourplex if we hadn't hired someone, because there's really only, there's only so much two people can do and so much time in the day. So like Sam said, we really feel like that's really catapulted us to the next level. So another thing we wanted to talk to you guys about today that's just really important to us and kind of part of our B Corp strategy and just part of our corporate culture is our foundation. So we, as you know, we in the beginning we were creating product that fulfilled the primary need for people. So sheets, pillows, mattresses, those types of things. And pretty soon after we started our business, we had people approaching us like, hey, can we get some pillows for this shelter, or can we get some bedding for these people who needed it? And so because we could and we had the resources to do it, we started giving those things away. And because we did that, we started to learn about things going on around us in our communities that we hadn't really seen before. And that made us want to do more than just give the bedding away, although that was important, and we still do that today. But we really wanted to make a bigger difference than that. One of the things around, I think it was around 2017, 18, we started to learn about just how prevalent child sexual exploitation is around us. So that includes, trafficking or familial abuse or just any kind of sexual abuse towards a child. And, as the parents of 5 children, this just really, really weighed on us heavily. Like, how can we help? How can we create change in this space? And what can we do more than just kind of giving our product away? And so we created the Malouf Foundation, which exists to confront child sexual exploitation. And so we work on a lot of different fronts in order to combat that. We focus on education. So we have a program called On Watch, which you can go on and get certified to recognize and then report the signs of human trafficking around you, because one of the things that was the most shocking to us is we learned that trafficking isn't something that's just happening in other countries. It's not a faraway problem. It's something that's happening in our communities, in this valley, in our hometown, and in this country. And so this training is specifically designed to help you recognize and report those signs of trafficking here in the United States. And so that's one of our education initiatives. And then we focus on healing, which includes, like giving product away, but a little bit more than that. Like we're in the process right now of building an aftercare home for minors, girls ages 12 to 18 here in Utah, and it's going to help them, heal from the sexual abuse and the trafficking that they've experienced. And then justice, is the other thing that we focus on. So we work a lot with government, trying to change laws, trying to change processes with law enforcement to help conviction rates and different things like that we feel like will have an impact over time on this crime. So that's a little bit about our foundation. I don't know if you want to say anything more, but that's...
Yeah, and we allowed a bunch of times, so you guys can ask questions. We may have some more questions on the foundation. So I think we're going to invite Chad up to or grab a mic and start asking us questions.
Great. Well, first of all, let's give him a round of applause for the... I love that last note. First, it's just inspiring to hear what you focused on, the good you've already done, and clearly you're going to continue on that path. For both of you, if you could talk about your management style, how it's kind of permeated your culture. I'm kind of an innocent bystander here in the Valley where I've heard all the great things that Malouf does and how you treat your employees. So if you could just take a few minutes and talk about your philosophy there and how you think it's led to the success that you've seen.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different leadership styles. We started the company when we were like 23, so we didn't really have experience in what we were doing. We didn't envision this happening. It wasn't really the plan. So we've learned a lot along the way. I think one of the biggest things that people would identify about our organization is empowerment and trust. And that's something I've learned a lot along the way, is that, if you allow somebody the space to do what they're capable of doing, that's empowerment, and they get to grow, and we get to enjoy the yield of their potential. Along with that, the trust side comes in a big way. You don't just have, it's not just about allowing them to do it, but there's a lot of power in trusting them and them knowing that you trust them. And so we see that a lot in leadership successes and failures. Is are you allowing people to to reach their potential, and do they know that you trust them and that you're confident in their abilities? So that's something that's been important for me.
And I think too, I don't know, something I say a lot is like we try to make people feel like they're the CEO of their own job. So if someone's micromanaging you and telling you every little thing you should be doing, well then if you mess up or it doesn't work out, like really the blame goes back to them, right? But if you fully empower somebody to take ownership of the job that they're over and the thing that they're doing, even if it's just something small, and they are in charge of that, then they're going to work a lot harder and they're going to be a lot more invested than if you are just kind of instructing them on what to do all the time. They really have to take ownership of it, and that's something that we've learned, especially as you get more and more employees. Like there's no way you can understand all the time. You have to trust your managers, you have to trust the people around you, you have to trust your employees that they're going to do what you've hired them to do, and that they're going to really care and be invested in their job. So that would be what I'd say.
Does anybody else have any questions?
My question is, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected Malouf, and what changes have you made that will impact your business going forward?
Well, I think at first it was kind of good because people were buying that type of product, right? So I don't know, it was like the day the stimulus checks hit everybody's bank account. It was like better than Black Friday, right? But then we ran out of product, and then we had supply chain issues. So maybe I'll let Sam talk about that a little bit. But
yeah, so I mean, I think there's a variety of ways to address this: the people side, the business side. So maybe you could just continue on the business side for a minute. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us would pick for COVID not to have happened. There's some companies that have actualized a boom that they never would have seen without COVID. So yeah, I mean, there's erratic demand. Obviously, we all are part of that and have experienced that and seen that as we look at prices and costs of things. But yeah, globally, the biggest issue for consumer goods companies is supply chain, and that's inclusive of raw material resourcing. It's inclusive of production labor, ocean freight. You've probably all read and seen things on that. I mean, it's an unprecedented disaster in terms of just the erratic demand and shortages. So you've probably seen the articles. There's 100 and something, I don't know, 110. I don't know what the count is right now of ocean freight vessels outside the port of Long Beach. And it's just, yeah, there's a lot of problems with that. So we're like the 48th biggest importer in the country. So we have a lot of volume and have some leverage points on that we're able to I'd say move better than average, but it's a real challenge. So I think the biggest thing that I've seen is, all the time we've been in business, we've been seeking and pursuing demand. And if we can find demand, we can fill it because we've got the production capability, we've got distribution capability, and we can identify customers' needs and satisfy them. Today, you don't get to do that to the level that you want to. And so it's forced us as a company to prioritize and allocate resources differently, where I like to, go for the good, better, best, let's do it all. And now we're, allocating more toward the best options and trying to spend our time and resources on the best opportunities. So that's on the business side. I think on the social and human capital side, probably you're all aware of this and have seen this and watched this, but we've stayed open the whole time. We were deemed an essential, if you remember that term, essential business back in 2020. We were an essential business, so we were able to, stay open and socially be accepted, I think, to stay open. It's created a lot of disruption for work preferences, I would say. There's just it's expedited and accelerated the conversation on not working at work. Our company, based on what we do and how we work together and how we're really a big team and a group of teams, we've determined that our best work gets done at work together. And so that's been our position as we've gone through and spun out of COVID, kind of still wallowing in COVID, is that we're working at work. So there's some exceptions to that. There's I think we've learned to be more open-minded to different circumstances, but yeah, that's kind of how we're working with it in general on those two sides.
For a while, it was just you two, and then you eventually hired your first employee, then obviously more and more. How did you figure out what to do as far as how much do I pay this person? Do I offer many benefits? And how did that, I guess, grow to what it is today?
Well, I think one of the things that has kind of helped our culture develop the way that it has is that in the beginning we hired people that were our personal friends. We hired a couple friends, and so they understood where we were at in the business, and it was more of a conversation of, we're going to hire you for this amount now, and it kept, I don't know if Sam lost sleep, but I did, overpaying their salary. And then with the understanding that like things are going to grow, increase, and so it was a little bit of a buy-in for those people in the beginning, right? And knowing that things were going to grow and expand. And so in the beginning, I don't even know if we offered help. Like, I don't know that we did for a while.
Well, sometimes we didn't even pay people. We had one of our
next week.
We do a celebration when people hit 5 years or 10 years in the company, and we had one of our employees that hit 10 years the other day, and there was some confusion on his starting date. And so I was asking, I was like, well, why is that 6 weeks off? And he's like, well, when I started, he's like, you paid me in product for the first 6 weeks. And he was a team player, so he was a sales guy, and he wanted to know all the product, but he just said, don't pay me, just pay me in mattresses and sheets. And so, but that's obviously, that's not the norm.
Anymore.
But
so the understanding, like, we're in the beginning stages, we're growing this thing, we have a big vision for it. And then once we got, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 employees, and we got more serious about making sure that we felt good about everything. We were making more money then too, so it just kind of grew over time as we added more people and felt more comfortable.
Yeah, our CFO, we had met each other in the accounting master's program here, and so he was handling our accounting with an outside firm, And he was a friend of mine, and so when we approached him, I don't know, 10 or so years ago, he told me he needed a few days to look through our books and see if we actually could pay him. So there's things like that you go through. But I think your other question on how benefits scale, I think there's environmental aspects, there's capability aspects. If we're profitable, there's things we can do. But we love focusing on people and comfort and growth and all those things. But there has to be margin and bottom line profit to be able to do that. And so there always has to be an emphasis on creating value and being productive. I mean, that allows a lot of the things that we do, but there's been a lot of areas too where we've tried to invest forward and just said, hey, and we still do that today where we're putting money into something that's going to have a yield later. And so I think that mentality is able to grow the more diversification and kind of momentum that you have. So.
And part of it too, like thinking creatively about some of the benefits, like we provide lunch every day for our employees, and that costs us a lot of money. I don't even like to hear how much, but I think the benefit of that is that our employees stay on campus. Our employees probably take maybe a little bit less of a lunch break than they would if they were leaving, but then they all sit down and eat together, and they're talking about work, and they're talking about, oh, what if we did this differently, and they're sitting with people they wouldn't normally talk to. And so that's been a huge benefit. It's really, really benefited the work. And so yes, it's a big buy-in, but we look at it, there's a really good positive thing that comes out of it too that we think is worth the investment. So
I just had a question. I love what you said earlier about how, of course you want to make money, but you want to do that so that you can make a difference around, the people around you. And that's definitely been my mentality, and that's something that I'm looking for in, potential employers. And so I was just wondering, kind of on a personal level, I definitely see, as an organization, where and, you make that balance of, of course we need to make money, but I could see that you want to make money so that you can give back to the people around you, whether that's your employees, whether that's the community. So just kind of personally, especially as you're, trying to grow the business, I think pressures are even higher to make, more money and more money. I guess, how do you balance that?
Well, I think from the beginning, the whole reason that we started the company was because I hated my job, right? It was negative. I didn't like going. I cried sometimes before I had to go. So really from the beginning, recognizing that and making sure that we wanted to provide an environment where people felt valued and happy in their jobs. That's not to say every person that works for us feels that way, but I think the majority do. But I think it is a balance, but I think just kind of making sure people know that you care about them on a personal level, and Sam's really, really good at that. And just making sure people feel like they're valued is part of that.
Yeah, I think on the personal side, I was going to say it's an interesting question to ask because it's we don't have a warehouse full of cash, so we're just trying to figure out how to make people happier, and it all is an equation that works together, right? So I remember when we first started leaning into giving more. We were early. I mean, we didn't have it made. We're not on autopilot still. But I think that if that's your core desire, you don't become good overnight. You don't just say, oh, I've got a pile of money, now I'm going to be good and give it away. It doesn't really work that way. So I think we pushed ourselves to say, hey, let's start somewhere and let's grow it. So the foundation is a really crucial part of purpose and culture and cause for the organization, but it's in its infancy. I mean, we still aren't leveraging and deploying as much as we'd like, but we've started and we're doing something. So I think that's kind of a start somewhere.
And there's cause and effect in it too. Because we invest in people and because we have a foundation and because we care about that, we're able to attract better employees who want to work hard. And there's kind of that synergy of we feel like we get a big value out of it. That's not why we do it, but we feel like we're able to, attract better people, retain people longer, and really be able to be more effective in our work because we care about those things too. So there's payoff in it too. It takes a little while sometimes to see it, but we feel like it's kind of a synergy. So yeah.
How would you guys say that you balance running your business effectively, but also being parents and having a family and being community members as well?
I don't think we always did balance that the best. I think we're trying better now, but yeah, I mean, our relationship was built. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, we had a relationship, but I mean, we built our relationship together with the business. So early on, there were all sorts of compromises. I mean, we didn't do things that we wish we'd done. We don't necessarily regret that we, did this, but there were things we learned along the way, and there were things we messed up on. There were, compromises to our relationship and time we could have spent together doing things other than sitting next to each other on a couch and emailing each other and shipping, making
Sit in
shipping
bed.
things. But maybe Kacie can address the positive side.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think everybody is busy. If you have a full-time job and you have kids, like, everybody's busy. I don't think we're necessarily busier than most people. And so that's a challenge for everybody in every life. So just, I don't know, trying to do the best you can. Be there when you can, letting little things go. Like, I don't know, like I woke up this morning because I wasn't feeling great last night and the house looked like it had exploded overnight. And that was frustrating, but letting that go and being like, it's fine. It'll get cleaned up later, right? So giving yourself some grace and like knowing that you're not always gonna be perfect. You are gonna yell at your kids. You are gonna be stressed about work. Like, but that's not unique to Sam and I. I think that's just like a human experience. So just being gentle with yourselves, doing the best you can, and hoping that your kids don't grow up to be criminals. I don't know. That's all you can do, right? I don't know.
Hey, right here, you have your hand up for a long time, and the mic never makes it to you, so let's do it.
Hi, how's it going? So I guess my question is, you're talking about coming from pink carpet. Taking things a step up.
No disrespect to the mic. I know you're trying your best. I just kept seeing it. So.
You're doing a great job, Cassie. So, you talk about coming from an apartment with pink carpet. I'm going to assume you probably don't have pink carpet anymore. Just a guess.
Come back around,
You're thinking about getting it. No.
That seems like a good idea, but I guess kind of my question with that is, looking at where you started versus where you're at now, did you ever struggle with imposter syndrome? Because like where I'm at, I work around a lot of successful people, and I'm like, this guy has a car collection. He's traveled all over the world, and I'm like, I spoiled myself and bought name brand ice cream this week. Woohoo! So did you ever struggle with imposter syndrome, or maybe feeling like you didn't quite fit in with the space that you were at, and how did you deal with that?
That was like a queue-up question because we got a good answer for this one. I'll tell you one thing, and then Kacie can hit it. But yeah, I mean, we started this when we were 23, and so we were dealing with like these multi-generational companies that did billions of dollars in revenue. And so, I mean, I think I had a beard
We
always.
really had no business trying to do it.
Yeah,
We really
and people would they always thought it was my dad's company, and they'd be like, "Oh, are you here for your dad?" And I'd be like, "Come on, I have a beard. Like I look like I'm old."
Also, when he had hair, so he looked a lot young. It was just
Thanks for pointing that out again.
You're still hot though. It's good.
But yeah, so I mean, there were some personal feelings, but
Yeah, so you tried always to look older, when we go business meetings or whatever. Like he tried to look older. Now we're trying to look younger. But I mean, I think we still do sometimes. Like I don't know, just every person, you just feel like maybe you're not enough, or maybe you should be doing this differently, or whatever. But I think it's just like human experience. Everyone kind of feels that way. But yeah, for a long time, like we'd show up at trade shows. We couldn't afford carpet or lighting, so we just were there with our sheet samples we'd cut ourselves. So I don't know. We definitely felt like that for a while, and then there kind of comes a point where you grow into realizing like, we're going to do what we do. We're going to do it the best we can, and then we just can't worry about all the outside noise. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on that.
So you said that Malouf Foundation is in its early stages, and so I was just wondering what your vision overall is for the Malouf Foundation and where you see it going in the coming years.
Well, I think I talked briefly about the aftercare home that we're wanting to start here in Utah. That's one thing. We have a lot of things we want to do, but that's one thing. Like we really want to create a model for more of a really best practices model of how do we help survivors heal in the best way possible and ensure that they don't end up in that situation again, because it's it's like 75% of women that leave a trafficking scenario will be re-trafficked, and usually that's because they didn't get the care that they needed. So we're really trying to create a model there that we can take and implement somewhere else. So we really want to scale on that. Another thing that we really are interested in is I don't know if you guys are familiar with children's justice centers, but that's where kids go if they've been abused, and they tell their story there to caseworkers and professionals and police officers and things like that. So we really want to create a model for best practice there, because it used to be before children's justice centers were a thing, that they had to go to the police station and tell their story, and then they had to go tell their story over here and then to social work. Like, they had to tell it a lot of different times. And so what we really want to do is create what's called a family justice center, where parents can go, and everybody that's been touched by this abuse can go and receive the resources and the help that they need. And that's something that we're working on here. We also created a new children's justice center in Ohio. And so we're really trying to create another model there, where we can say, like, we feel like this is the best way to help kids who have been sexually abused or abused in some way, and then just trying to kind of scale that. So that's kind of like our big idea, is that we want to create best practices and then scale them on a bigger level. So that's, when we talk about like infancy stages, we really feel like it is. We also just really want to spread awareness about child sexual exploitation and its prevalence around us, and trafficking. And so, like, with our Unwatched training, we've had it out for about a year now, but we really, really want to push it and get more people to take it and to understand what's going on around them. So those are some of the things that we're working on when we talk about just wanting to scale and make it bigger. So.
Yeah, I think one of the differences with the foundation that we recognize is, when we were building the company, we didn't recognize that there was a larger enterprise that we were building. We didn't know we were a startup. We just were, just hustling, doing our
$1,500
thing.
a month, baby.
So it's a little bit different with the foundation, where we know the scale of the social epidemic. We know the scale of impact and solutions that can be delivered. And so we're watching, and so I identify it, and we call it out as a startup, because we know that the potential is a lot bigger, and that we're going to be able to fuel it with a lot of momentum to do a lot more. But I think the bigger umbrella here is we're on this earth. There's adults that are more capable and have more securities and insulation from harm. There's children that don't. Like, they rely on us to take care of them. And we look at the statistics of especially child abuse and taking away freedom from children. We're not doing the best job in our own country, in our own community, in our own state. And so that's the bigger picture, is we're identifying initiatives, and we've focused in on the sexual abuse side of things, because we feel like it's the most heinous of abuse that happens. There's a lot of other horrific abuse as well, but in that whole realm, there's a long spectrum of impact pieces. And so, even though it's a pretty targeted initiative, it's got infinite possibilities in terms of solutions and a lot of people to impact. So yeah, that's very broad and not real specific, but that's kind of the bigger picture. So.
Okay, so kind of going along with the Malouf Foundation, I was wondering, how close do you guys work with Operation Underground Railroad, or if you work with them, and then also, are you guys looking at doing more of the international aspect with helping out with human trafficking? I know the U.S. is one of the largest places with human trafficking, but I was just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. So early on, when we first started the foundation, we supported a lot of organizations. One of those was Operation Underground Railroad. We did some work with them in the past. We don't currently work with them, and as we've evolved the foundation and our purpose, we differ a little bit from OUR in terms of where our focus point is. So they emphasize a lot more on rescue. We focus more on the prevention of the cause in the first place, and then the healing side of things. And so that's kind of where our emphasis is. But with respect to countries, the U.S. is like the biggest consumer of child pornography in the world. So we have an appetite and a population here that causes a lot of the issues internationally, as well as domestically. So we do a lot of support through other NGOs and nonprofits in other countries. We've done a lot of support in Haiti. We've done a lot of support in Cambodia, a lot of different places. But we feel like we should focus and prioritize on the people around us and not weighing value against other countries, but we feel like if we can address the issue here, we'll have a lot more power and potential in helping other countries better. So we've learned a lot from some other countries that do some things a little bit better than the United States, but there's a lot of resources here that if we can prove models here, I think we can take them internationally a lot better. So, good question.
It looks like we have time for a couple more questions. If anybody has one, just raise your hand and I'll come. Or I won't come. I don't know.
This question is a little bit more about the business side. You said you started with just the two of you, worked up to 1 employee, 10 employees, 20 employees. And now it seems like you're in a better position with 1,600 employees to pick from a wider variety of people and abilities and skill sets. So what would you say at this point differentiates your employees from those you don't hire?
This is like a hiring question for people that might be looking for jobs. No, I love this question. We sometimes talk about our kids and we tell them we're like
we wouldn't hire you.
You could never work in our company. And they're like, why not? I thought we got
You're
to.
mean.
And we're like, well, you guys don't get along, and you're not very nice to each other. So I don't want to put out the vibe that we're just this soft, easy company, but when you get into to an organization, whether it's 10 or 1,000 people, there's not a lot of room for the Superman that bulldoze people. Maybe that's a bad example, but there's not as much space for
a really strong personality that just has to get their way all the time. Like it doesn't work.
Even if they're the highest performers, that's what we talk to people is we say it doesn't matter, how good you are at something. If you can't get along and collaborate with other people, your potential's capped, and probably there's an expiration date to how long you're even going to last in the organization. So I think that's the biggest thing is, people, if they want to be, they're capable of learning, they're capable of being a good vessel for being educated and trained on something. But if you can't figure out how to collaborate and get along with other people, it's a big obstacle to progress.
Yeah, I think we hire, we look for people that have certain skill sets that are really smart, really nimble, really, just able to get things done. But even more important than that is just people that, like Sam said, can get along with other people. So group projects, guys, you hate them, but there's wisdom. Anyway, I think it really is important. Like if you have somebody that's just hard to get along with, it really doesn't make work an easy place to be. So that's it.
One more. This is the jackpot question. There we go.
Better be good.
All right, no pressure. All right, so our motto of the school is dare mighty things, right? And when you're daring mighty things, you risk failure, and sometimes you do fail. So what was your greatest failure? And then follow it up with what is your greatest success?
That's too hard of a question.
That's a good one. That's a good one. We'll maybe give a couple. I think one of our biggest regrets, I got asked that recently, and I was like, I think it was not investing in people earlier. We saw the flip side of that. We're like, hey, that's our biggest success. So maybe that's the answer on the latter point, is people and helping to build them and gaining and benefiting from all the collaboration. So I think when we look at the business on the flip side, we probably could have gone further if we would have had that mentality earlier. At the same time, I believe a lot in controls and leashes, and it's like, I think we probably weren't ready to.
Someone would have given us $1 million, it would have we would have made some bad decisions. So.
The credit cards kind of did, but there was a big leash on those, right?
There was a leash. Anyway, I don't know. I think it's hard to identify one big one. I think there were always learning every day, I should have done that differently, or I should have dealt with that differently, or, I don't know. We've had products that we've had to just scrap them all because we didn't, follow the guidelines of the government. So we had to throw a bunch of stuff away. Just things like that. But I think biggest success for me is just watching people enjoy their work, and then also just like the foundation, like just seeing good. Like, I know that sounds just like too easy, but it really is just really fulfilling for me to be able to see like, yeah, like it's good. We did all this stuff and had success in business, and that's great. But honestly, like to me personally, that means less than the good that we can do with what we've been given. Because, like, I don't know, I said it before, like Sam and I don't have any superpowers or really special qualities. We're just like people who worked really hard and had some luck and some hard times and good times. But in the end, like we've been given something that, you know, is a blessing to us, and we just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that I make good on that, and that make wise choices and try to help people with the result of that. So that's probably our greatest success. But.
And maybe aspirationally speaking, I think, you know, we are still trying to get better every day, but we've accomplished a lot in terms of being a good place to work, and so that's a great thing, and we could probably, you know, die happy with that. But I think what's even more important than that, what will be a better thing to accomplish, will be helping a much broader audience and population. I think that's where a lot of the societal change and helping vulnerable populations, that's a bigger win than, you know, just being a good place to work, which is really a really good thing. So I think that's where, when we look at kind of a hierarchy of focuses, that's where we hope we can parlay the most
And world
resources.
domination. No, just kidding.
Well, great. I think we've all been just inspired and uplifted today. I want to just thank both Kacie and Sam for your time, for your candor, and for all the insights you provided as you've shared your story with us. So on behalf of the Huntsman School, we just want to say thank you for coming today. We have just a small token to say thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe this is even from some of your companies. I don't know.
All right. No, we'll keep it. I'll hide it.
But thanks again for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.